Hello, my name is Rowan Campbell Millar, and I'm here to um, show and talk about this book, the Through Hermopolitan Lenses, Studies on the So-Called Book of Two Ways in Ancient Egypt by Will Sherbini. Um, Not sure if I'm pronouncing his name uh, exactly right or not, but believe he's in a I believe he's an Egyptian scholar, um, or at least of Egyptian descent, based on his name. And let's see, just a second. Let me let the cat go out. Alright, you don't want to learn about the book? Okay. Oreo doesn't want to learn about the book. He already knows. I already told him. All right, so here it is. And this book, it's from 2017. It was very difficult for me to procure. It's, I think if you buy it new, I think the original price of the book was $400 or $500. Um, and and you can get some copies for like 250 or even 150, I think, now. But somehow, but that's, still a lot of money for a book. So I was very lucky that I managed to get a copy on Amazon for $35, which I'm pretty sure I'm almost certain the person who sold it didn't uh, know how much it was worth. I honestly, I think it was a clerical error that they accidentally sold it for 35, because as soon as it was gone, the next one for sale there was, $150, $250. So this is not an easy book to procure. Um, there is, I think it's in Google Books online, so you can see a lot of parts of it. They don't show every page, but they do sample a lot of pages, which and some of the pages they sample are pretty important. So that's another resource for free to check some of it out. Um, Basically, it's about a funerary text from Hermopolis, from the city of Thoth uh, in Egypt. And so this was a book that was written, we refer to it as a book, but it was a book written in the inside of uh, coffins, and maybe on the outside too. I'm not sure, but certainly on the inside of coffins in Hermopolis during I believe primarily during the Middle Kingdom. Maybe there was some at the end of the Old Kingdom. Maybe there was some at the beginning of the New Kingdom. But it was largely an Middle Kingdom book. I mean, most of the books that we know from ancient Egypt are basically funerary texts, books of the dead, as they're called. And books of the dead are kind of a misnomer in the sense that they're not really about uh, death per se. At least they're about a lot more than death, at the very least. To a large extent, they're cosmological. Uh, I think all the classic books of the dead are cosmological, so they are they are as much about explaining the contours of the cosmos, of the planet, as they are um, anything to do specifically with death. Um, but the ancients believed that, that when people die, their souls go down to the underworld on the other side of the planet. That basically, I mean, anywhere you are on the planet, you're at the top of the planet, from your perspective. So, um, unless you're right next to a mountain or something, then that would be the top of your planet. But generally speaking, wherever your general region in the world is the highest region from your perspective, and every other part of the planet is lower. And then once you get halfway across the planet, it's becomes the underworld, and then it starts going towards the peak of the ultimate antipode, which is the exact opposite side of the planet, which is kind of like the very bottom. And so, I mean, of course, it's a ball, it's a circle, but it was often portrayed as a pyramid, or kind of two pyramids, like inverted, one pointing up, one underneath it pointing down for the underworld. But for the Egyptians, the underworld included America, and I think America was probably the most important, or like the main part of the underworld for them, and probably for most of the old world people from Africa and Eurasia, because on the other side of the planet from them is obviously America, and that's their underworld. That's, even though it doesn't take up it's not the ultimate underworld of many places, and it's not like it takes up such a huge space within the antipodal hemisphere, but because it's land, as opposed, I mean, most of the planet around America is basically water, especially the Pacific. Um, so um, it's obviously hugely important, just because it's a massive, I mean, just like nowadays, like America is a prominent, thing in the world. It's a prominent place. And, I would say Eurasians and Africans are still fixated on America now, as they were in very ancient times. And the American Indians were fixated on the old world, which was their underworld. The Aztecs referred to the underworlds of Patala, or sorry, not Patala, of Mictlan and Tlalocan, and maybe others as well. So these were underworld realms on the other side of the planet from them, that they would, have to cross the ocean to reach. So the important thing about this book, or the book that this book is about, the Ancient Egyptian Book of Two Ways, is I'd say the two of the most important things about it are, a, it's generally considered a direct ancestor of the later books of the dead, which were ubiquitous in the New Kingdom of Egypt, and it's related to all the different tomb murals and basically funerary texts that are on the walls of tombs, usually on the inner walls of tombs. So this is, it's one of the relatively ancient books that has been deciphered that have been deciphered, because it's, you know, it's about like I would say 3,000, over 3,000 years old. I'm not sure exactly when the Middle Kingdom was, because 4,000 years ago that was the Old Kingdom and the Khufu's pyramid at Giza. So I'm guessing about, you know, maybe 3,500 years ago was the Middle Kingdom. And but the other very important thing, besides the fact that these texts were, you know, hugely formative in later and more broadly studied texts, is that, you know, another very important thing is that these texts have um, maps, and what have often been referred to as maps of the underworld. Um, in this instance, like here, we have one of the kind of diagrams from one of the could say copies of the Book of Two Ways, from one of the coffins that has a variation of it in it. Um, this to me, I think this is a diagram for some kind of craft, either a boat or maybe even some flying vessel. I could be wrong, but it is meant to be also also a map of America. It's, I think this is, you know, the thing that the ancients almost obsessively did, was overlayer different things, you know, within the same symbol. So one symbol could have many meanings and convey a lot of information. And I think in this instance, they are both explaining America, and they're also explaining how to build some sort of boat or other craft. Might be connected to the kind of construction of the solar disk concept, or the solar bark, which is supposed to carry the sun through the sky. There that is again. But in other variations and other renderings of the Book of Two Ways, the map is a lot less, it looks nothing like that, you know. That to me is also showing probably plans for a vessel or something like that, some kind of craft. But there's other versions of it, and I'll just try to skip to them, where it's a lot more okay, no, so this is one of the ones where it's shaped like a craft, I believe. So I could be wrong, but I think what they're trying to do here is both show America, and let's see, yeah. So I guess if yeah, this I think shows America in the sense that I think this is South America and this is North America. I think. No. Yeah, it's very confusing with this one. So, because it does align with parts of America, but it's also shaped like a craft. So it's not the best for geography, you know, geographical purposes. Whereas here we see the actual ones that are shaped more realistically. I mean, they're still stylized, but you know, they are they're shaped a lot closer to how America is actually shaped. Particularly this one, I would say, is probably the best in terms of that. Um, this one also is quite good for certain things, like for instance, the Bay of I don't know if that's Hudson's Bay at the top or if that's kind of the you know, some other, but like something that looks like, I suppose it's Florida sticking out towards the top is more accurate than some of the other maps, but they seem to have screwed it up a bit towards the bottom, towards the northern part of South America. And I mean, it's the bottom for us because I'm showing it this way, just because we're used to modern Western maps, which show north as up and south as down. But this is not, this is actually, you know, this is the actual way these were made, and west was up, south was down. So I think that throws off a lot of modern Westerners, but that's why I try to turn it around just to show people so that they can look at it from the perspective they're more familiar with. So let's see. I'm going to go straight to the tables and show the like best photos of these, because I'm not sure what else I can really show. Where, oh yeah, here we are, sorry. Okay, so this is from the coffin of Seppi, I believe. And so we see here, starts here with the Alaskan Peninsula, which is a pretty small peninsula, or at least, yeah, small compared to, I mean, in this one, we actually have the, we have Baja California. It's basically impossible to see. So, try to find. I don't know. It's, I mean, I already showed the image of the better traced version. And I guess I should have held that page open because I forgot that it does not show Baja California in the original thing, like in the original image is too worn. All right, I don't know. I can't find it in this. I mean, this book is 700 pages, so I'll just find it on my computer and show it to you. Let's see. Okay, I guess I'll just use this one because this is like the most, it's not really exact in terms of the shapes of everything. Because, for instance, you know, this shape here at the top, which is Greenland, is totally misshapen. This is not, like this is a reconstruction. So they just totally half-assed that. Whereas the real shape is right here, which is a lot closer to the actual shape of Greenland, as opposed to being just a symmetrical, uh, totally symmetrical semicircle, as they kind of show in this reconstruction. But the point is, you can see here Baja California. Like, I mean, they portray here like this left side of the picture, this line along the left side as being a waterway. And then, we kind of don't know what this is. So you could look at this and just think, okay, clearly this is all land. And then there's just this river. And, some people might think it's the Nile because, yeah, they just don't understand that Egyptians knew about anything beyond the Nile, really. But the fact is, the reason this is portrayed as blue and this is portrayed as black, I think, doesn't mean that this is a waterway and this is not. What it means is that this is the dark land and this is the light land. That this here is the river of fire, which is represents, I think, midnight in a sort of cosmological way, where even though it's not precisely true, that, like, I don't think America is the exact antipode of Egypt. I think the exact antipode would be somewhere in the Pacific. But for cosmological, mythological, religious purposes, the sun was seen to go west, each night, and sort of die in under the horizon. That the red of a sunset was, I think, seen as blood, and that the sun god Ra was being killed by Apophis, the serpent or something, and that basically this was this realm of shadows under the horizon, and then this was where the sun god Ra was reborn. And so the rest of this, that's why this is blue and this is black, I think, is because this was the land of night, this is the land of day, and this is where this line in the middle of the river of fire was, I think, considered to be the exact point when the next day started. So, the sun dies at the end of each Egyptian night, goes down to here in this kind of like, I guess, as a corpse, or has a soul or something like that, but then is reborn here in the middle and is able to brighten these waters. Um, and but yeah, so here we have the Baja Peninsula. It's not the best map on the other side for that. Let's see. Two ways, two ways, two ways. Hmm. All right, so, but the point is of that image is basically, oh no, I don't know. It's so hard to like find things in this stupid computer. It's like if I search in one search box, it'll give me only like the oldest. I don't know. It's like my computer is very random to look for things in. It does not have any seem like logical system. So it's showing me some stuff, but it's not really the ones I'm looking for. And it's very, very slow. So I spend most of my life just waiting for my computer to do anything. Just waiting between clicks for the next thing to load. All right, two ways. That's great. Okay, here's a good one. This is probably the best one in terms of actually showing the the satellite image of better. So here I'll go through it. This here is the Alaskan Peninsula. It's kind of, short, squat peninsula there. Here it is in the same position, obviously, in the Egyptian map. Here's Greenland and Greenland up here, which of course is so kind of misshapen because the real shape is like this, which actually is much closer. But in the reconstruction, it's kind of they just half-assed the shape. And I think there's this peninsula here. I think is this guy right here. I forget the name of this island or whatever that is. But this guy here on the Egyptian one is Newfoundland, which is right here. And it's kind of difficult to see it here, but it actually is shaped like a rabbit. Like it has like these ears that go up and a little tail in the back, and it's not pointed the same direction as this stylized rabbit, but it is shaped like very much like a rabbit. And then here this one shows much better the Baja Peninsula, which parallels and is obviously in the same spot as it is in the Egyptian map. There's some other things that are harder to see in this, like this river, for instance, in the Egyptian map. It's called He Who lives off uh, foundlings of foundling of the lake or something, or the basically it's a river that derives from a lake, and this is you know, it's near this bump because I mean we have this curvy shape here, which is obviously stylized, like it's not exact, and it may be that whoever made this, map didn't know the exact coastline everywhere, so they um, used this stylized version. Um, but they knew a huge amount. I mean, they knew they have, Alaskan Peninsula, Baja California. They have this, which is this river is the Rio Grande de Santiago in Mexico, which is, um, yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, even though it is stylized, it's partly real. Like here you can see like this part. Well, it's harder to see in this map. In other satellite images from other angles, it's easier to see that there really is this shape alongside Western Canada. There's this kind of indentation, and then there's this um, northwestern slant towards the top that goes towards Alaska, and then there's the next kind of bump that happens here, right where California and the U.S. basically are right above Baja California, which we actually do see here. There's this bump that comes out right above Baja California. But then there's, it goes in, but there's another kind of bump right here. I mean, the whole Americas go over to the east basically, but if we were to try to look at it like that, in a way, like it goes out, in, and out here, and it does here as well. It goes out here above Baja and then out just below Baja, like here. And this is exactly where this river is, the Rio Grande de Santiago, which does curl around to the south, and which is does come out of a lake, which is what its Egyptian name refers to. We also have here this kind of long snake guy island, which is Cuba. So we can see Cuba here in the satellite, this long snake-like island, and here it is on the Egyptian map. And then next to it, and to the east a bit, is the smaller, squatter, Hispaniola, which is where Haiti and the Dominican Republic are. So those are the things that we can see on this map. Like this here, it appears to be the Rio Grande, the Rio Grande that we know about, the one that separates the U.S., or that I knew about before looking into all this, is the Rio Grande that separates the U.S. and Mexico. And this is actually leaving out, there's some other marks here. Like I think there's a there's a line that goes right here, so that might be also connected to this river, the Rio Grande. And but the rest of this stuff, like we're not going to be able to see any of this stuff in this map because this doesn't really have the waterways. But we know, I mean, I know that there is a major river that goes across kind of the base of the Yucatan Peninsula right here, which is shaped a bit like this. Um, and then here we have this long snake with the kind of horns coming out of its head, which seems to be very clearly the Amazon River. And then this, simian or primate at the bottom, it seems to relate to, there's some major waterways that can be seen here on some satellite maps that really do seem to have the shape of a primate, of a baboon or something like that. So yeah, like I've been posting this stuff on the internet, on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and so far there's been a very, I guess, muted response, and vast majority, I'd say, of people dismiss it. And certainly I've not had like scientists come to me and say, "Oh wow, you discovered this. Let's correct the record." Like, it tends to be the more classically trained, the more like somebody had, like if somebody has a master's or PhD in like Egyptology or archaeology, anthropology, they're more likely to reject something like this, which is just new. Anything that kind of goes against what people are taught by their professors, I think, tends to be rejected. So this, I mean, once this is accepted, we kind of have to not throw out, but it does debunk a massive amount of Egyptology and ancient, history, cosmology, and archaeology generally. It certainly changes the game. So I think a lot of the academics are fearful of having to admit that they basically don't know anything about, like, or that they just got it so wrong. So that's but again, so this is the original thing, and like I say, this side is blue, this side is black, but I think that is just because one side, this is where the sun goes. The sun dies on the western horizon, crashes into the Atlantic Ocean, and is, swallowed up by the Apophis snake or whatever, and then is reborn here in the river of fire in the underworld, and then and then shines and illuminates the water here. And but I think it's like all these things that are all in the same places, the fact that we have Alaskan Peninsula, Baja Peninsula, Greenland, Newfoundland, which you can't really see in this picture. You can't really see Baja in this one either, but they're there. They're just faded. And then Cuba here, and Hispaniola here, Amazon here, Amazon River here, Rio Grande de Santiago here, like, and then here are the those islands that are just off the coast of I think you can almost see the little speck there. I think it's technically two islands that are just off the coast of South America at the very bottom on the eastern side, but Let me see if I can get a better version.